There's been a lot of bad vibes with, over the offseason with the losing and the Aaron Rodgers getting rid of and things of that nature. It's time for some good news, and we got it from Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson, which is great news for Jet fans. We'll explain next. Boy Green Daily with a special guest starts right friggin' now.
I'm going to lose my gosh darn bananas. Boy Green Daily starts now. Zoinks!
I made it clear that my intention was to play, and my intention was to play for the New York Jets.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Paul Esden Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, baby, a daily New York Jets video show, also available wherever you get your podcast. Let me start right off the top by saying we've got a giveaway going on right now that's free. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel. You're eligible to win a free autographed piece of New York Jets memorabilia, baby. Once we get to 7,500 subscribers, we'll pick a random subscriber at random. So make sure you get subscribed so you're eligible for that giveaway. We'll be doing another one of those free giveaways once we reach 8,000 subscribers. So keep that in mind, people. And before we get started with our special guest, let's bring up two comments here, two shout outs, two wonderful things, including MFC gifting a membership, baby, right off the top rope. You love to bleep and see it. Let's go. Beautiful. Thank you, MFC. That's another membership, of course, but another raffle ticket. That went to All Sports Carlos. All Sports Carlos just got that membership, and that is another raffle for MFC, who has 9 raffle tickets so far this month. Shout out to MFC for that. We also have a YouTube super chat coming in off the top rope. And I'm going to be honest, this is something I absolutely can't disagree with. First off, when we get a super chat here on the show, we go to my daughter, Zariah. Gosh darn Luna.
Wow.
I'm here for the greatest Jets podcast on earth. You're damn right, Austria Jets fan, for Pete's sake. That's exactly what Boy Green Daily is. And by the way, you just got yourself another raffle ticket with your prior combinations of raffle or super chats coming in, so we appreciate it. It's 169 raffle tickets so far this month. So thank you, number one Austria Jet fan. We appreciate it. Let's bring in our special guest. He's live in Indianapolis from the NFL Combine. Nick Faria, our Jets reporter for Athlon Sports. Nick, what's up, man?
How's everything going, Paul? Not at the Combine just yet, but waiting for my Uber to get me there.
Sure. How is Indy, by the way? I saw you there yesterday. You were on the Jake Asman show. I saw you in front of the Eagles podium, the Jets podium. There seems like a lot's going on down there.
Lot going on. A lot of questions to be asked. I know people are frustrated with some of the questions that were asked, but we got to remember at this stage, there's not a lot of questions to answer. We're a couple weeks away from the start of the new league year, and only then will we be able to determine exactly where each team is at this point.
How many number of combines is this for you, Nick Faria?
This is my first.
Oh, my goodness.
Very
okay.
exciting. Very exciting.
Cherry popped, baby. Okay. So what's on the hit list? Or like St. Elmo's, certain restaurants, certain things to do? How are you operating in your first combine?
So I've never been to Indianapolis. It's never been a goal of mine outside of attending the Combine.
Sure.
But I will say it's a lot of fun. And we went to St. Elmo's yesterday. I don't know where the plan is to go tonight. But, pretty exciting.
Who have you been hanging out with in the extra time outside of the Combine? Football people or just friends or what?
Yeah, football people, friends, a mixture of both. Doesn't really matter.
Okay, that's great. Well, let me get into this immediately here, because like I said, there's been some not negative vibes with like Adrian Taramucci being hired. That's been exciting and fun, but obviously another losing season for the Jets, which stinks. And then there's been the Aaron Rodgers stuff, very divisive, obviously, among Jet fans. And then there's been all the rumors of Garrett Wilson. He could request a trade at any moment. Hey, what's going on with Sauce? And coming off this season, Well, we got a double dip of good news this week. Sauce Gardner took to social media saying, quote, "I don't like keeping secrets. That's why I don't hesitate to say I want to be a Jet long term, LOL." He's also said this in the past. And then Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic reported in a column that he dropped yesterday, the Jets have 2 young stars that are eligible for contract extensions, obviously in Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. I've been told, this is Zach Rosenblatt speaking, that they would both be thrilled at the prospect of signing long-term deals this offseason, which is terrific news based on everything we're hearing. Have you heard anything about this as well? Because obviously Moochie and Glenn, when you were at the podium yesterday, sort of talked about the potential of contract extensions.
Well, and I'll say this. It's not so much the Garrett and Sauce news that struck me yesterday. I felt, when you have 2 first-round talents like them who have been rookies of the year, you do everything in your power to lock them up to extensions. That's just reality of the situation in the NFL. The one thing that I was interested in is he is not the only one. They are not the only ones eligible for extensions this offseason. You look at running back Breece Hall, Jermaine Johnson. Now, Johnson has his injury that's going to obviously complicate things. New York is going to be patient with him, making sure that he gets back to 100% and he can play at a high level. But Breece Hall, to me, was probably one of the more intriguing names that I kind of saw at the Combine this past 24 hours, because Darren Muji was asked about this class of incoming rookies.
Yeah.
And he mentioned 2 positions out of the blue, unprompted. Defensive line, which I think we all agree with, and running back. Now, we all agree that this running back class is one of the more talented ones in recent memory, probably since the 2017 historic draft class of itself.
Yeah.
But the fact that Darren Muji went out of his way to mention running back, when he's got a running back eligible for an extension on his own, leads me to believe that New York may not be inclined, interested, whatever word you want to describe, of bringing Breece Hall in the long term. Now, Hall hasn't rushed for 1,000 yards. He has struggled with injuries. He hasn't been the same player since his rookie year in terms of his overall burst, but he can still be a very dependable player. So for the Jets to essentially go out and talk about the running backs in this running back class, it could mean nothing. It could mean that they're looking to replace Isaiah Davis and Braylon Allen, or it could just mean that they're not willing to pay Breece Hall extension money when they have other positions of value that they feel need to be addressed first. And I think that's really interesting, because that will eventually lead to the departure of Breece Hall in New York.
Okay, wow. I did not pick up on that, but that's just what I told Woody yesterday. We're doing a show at 3:00. I love that we're all coming away with these takeaways like, oh my goodness, this or that, because obviously they say a lot of stuff and then you start combing through it. It's pretty interesting. Just to make sure I heard you correctly, did you say Breece Hall is there in Indianapolis?
No. What I meant is like his impact on the team.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Question.
I was about to say, well, that's sort of significant. Why the hell is he down there? No, I got you. Okay. Yes, interesting. So what do you think? So, again, with the Jermaine Johnson, you mentioned the injury sort of complicates it. That sort of kicks the can down the road. I don't imagine extensions coming for Jermaine because of the injury, and they don't have to have that conversation. Breece is interesting or different than the other guys, obviously. Sauce and Garrett, the Jets have a fifth-year team option to exercise by early May. So if they exercise it, I'd imagine they exercise both. Feel free to confirm or deny that. But when they do, the Jets will have them under contract for 2 years. That's not the case for Breece Hall. He was not a first-round pick, so he only has the 4-year standard contract, i.e., he's entering the contract year this year. What do you believe the Jets do with that? Do they let it play out? Do they extend him? Do they potentially trade him? There's been some whispers about that this offseason. What's the truth there?
I think we haven't – I don't think the Jets have decided on it. I think everything is going to be on the table. And, if they're able to recuperate a draft pick for Breece, I think they would consider that. I also think that they would be fine with letting him play out like the Saquon Barkley episode with the Giants, where they essentially just let him play out his contract, franchise tagged him twice and said, hey, you're going to play for us until we tell you not to. And then Barkley was able to leave in free agency. I could totally see something happening like that as well. And, is it fair to the running back? No. But this is the way the NFL works. This is the way organizations try to use the value of a player, of a position that isn't of high value, that has a very short shelf life. So the way that I look at it with Breece Hall, I don't think they've decided yet. But I think the fact that they went out of their way, and Darren Muji went out of his way yesterday to talk about the running back class, says a lot about what they would be willing to talk about when it comes to Breece Hall.
All right, let's go to the fifth-year options real quick. On Sauce and Garrett, and Jermaine, I guess, for that matter, let me not leave him out. Do you anticipate the Jets are picking up all three of those fifth-year options?
I think for Sauce and Garrett, yes. That's just a process of getting ahead of those conversations. It gives you an extra year where you're not paying him $25-30 million per year in overall value. I think Jermaine's an interesting question. Maybe they punt that as far as they possibly can. But if I were betting my money on it, I think the fact that Jermaine wants to be here, they'd be willing to give him that extra year incentive to say, hey, we'll work with you. We may not get a pass rusher early in the draft. We may be going after a quarterback. That could impact things. So I'm sure it'll be considered. But in terms of the overall favorites to get it, Jermaine's probably going to be the last one.
Okay, yeah, and that would make sense for them to wait on that specific one based on whatever potentially happens. Because if they get nobody, I mean, they could be like, all right, well, let's make sure we at least have him on lock. Because we've seen the risks of accepting it or declining it. One that certainly stands out, obviously, is Daniel Jones, right? So the Giants decline the fifth year option, say, boo, we're not going to accept this. And then Daniel Jones has that career season, and the Giants are like, oh, shit. What do we do? And that's how they got into the whole Saquon Barkley thing. Who do we extend? Who do we franchise tag? And they got into it. And a lot of people gave the Giants shit. Look at you idiots. You declined the fifth-year option. But everyone was celebrating it when they initially declined the fifth-year option. Because they said, perfect. Now you don't have to pay Daniel Jones this money. So it's an interesting conversation because there's pros and cons for both.
I will say, not a day goes by where I'm not thankful for the Giants to make that decision of choosing Daniel Jones over Saquon Barkley. Let's just get that out of the way. Joe Shane walked by me yesterday, and I'm like, I could give this man a hug right now, and it would be fantastic. So
did you? Did you give him a hug?
No, of course not. Of course not. I like my job. I like to keep my job.
Of course.
It's just one of those things where some organizations value positions, and others value players and dominant players. And for the Giants, I don't think they value either right now. So, the Jets are going to try to do everything in their power to not be the Giants, not be the laughing stock of the league because of how they manage the quarterback situation. And that's going to be a big question this week. What's going to happen at quarterback for New York?
Yeah, we're actually going to get into the Giants because that sort of weirdly spins back to the Jets. We'll get into that in just a minute. Jimmy Jets just gifted a 5-pack of Boy Green Coffee Club memberships. Jimmy, thank you.
I do know. We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Through the 5 new members of the Boy Green Coffee Club, that's Dixon Yas, 14 years, Dr. V-Man, Spin Max, DKL. You guys are all now new members to the Boy Green Coffee Club, baby. And Jimmy Jets has even more memberships and raffles for what we have going on. That has now been updated. He's got 115 raffle tickets so far this month. Let's get into the Giants because yesterday, Nick Faria, Giants reporter rather, and he also covers the overall NFL, Pat Leonard, he said that according to his sources, he's been told that Aaron Rodgers prefers to play for the Los Angeles Rams, and he'd want to bring Davante Adams with him. And he said the only way that's possible, of course, if Matthew Stafford gets traded, which would create the opening for Aaron and Davante to come to the LA Rams. And he believes that it is legitimate that the Giants could go after Stafford based on comments that apparently Shane made at the podium yesterday. There's a lot to unpack there. We'll start with the Giants thing. Do you believe Matthew Stafford is going to get moved? And would the Giants be a legitimate contender for Matthew Stafford?
The Giants will absolutely be a legitimate contender for Stafford. That's what I'm hearing as well. They want and are desperately looking for a quarterback to save everyone's jobs. That's at the top of the list. I will say they're going to have to get in line because there are a lot of teams that will be interested in Stafford. And one of them kind of just opened up today. You look at what happened with the Indianapolis Colts. They turned a lot of heads yesterday when they said that Anthony Richardson will be in a quarterback battle this offseason, this training camp, and they're going to bring in a veteran. No one knows what veteran that is. It could be Stafford. It could be Rodgers. No one really knows. But Rodgers' goal may be that he wants to end up in Los Angeles. But the one thing I also heard is that for him specifically, it could take a lot of time. It could take like the Brett Favre saga where it's like right before training camp or at training camp, and you finally get a solution. So he's going to have to sit back and wait a little bit. at least in my opinion. But at the end of the day, these quarterback questions are going to be really interesting because it's not a deep class in free agency, and it's a solid one in the draft. But also, you never know. Give me 1 second. I'm jumping in my Uber.
No, awesome. This is great. Again, we've got Gashdar Nick Faria here, our Jets reporter for Athlon Sports here on the program. And I would just add on here as Nick Faria is jumping over into his Uber, is that Matthew Stafford is going to be the most attractive quarterback option that's available for any team. And the Giants are desperate as hell, man. Brian Daboll and Joe Shane came back, and they're trying to win right now. And obviously Matthew Stafford gives them the best chance. And while Stafford is 37 and it would cost assets and apparently $50 million plus. So, Pop, you were right. I want to admit I was wrong on the Matthew Stafford stuff. I did not think high on his list was going to be getting paid $50+ million per year, but apparently that is what he's looking for. So I apologize to my Hop on Pop. He will rub that in my face later, I'm sure, the next time that he's on the show. Totally wrong. Apparently, that's one of the things that Stafford is looking for. But yet, you can't underrate the Giants' desperation here for it. But I agree. Raiders and a bunch of other teams are going to be in the mix. You think that this Aaron Rodgers thing could sort of drag out. I found it interesting that he says his preference is to play for the Rams. My preference, Nick, is to be a billionaire. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen, but that is my preference. That's sort of the vibe I got because I'm sure a lot of people's preference would be to play for the Rams. Sean McVay, not Cooper Cup. Well, he's going to be moving on, but Puka Nacua, like all the success. Wouldn't a lot of quarterbacks' preference be the Rams? Aren't they going to be one of the top destinations they move on from Stafford for all these quarterbacks like Sam and Aaron Rodgers? Wouldn't they want to play for the Rams? So it seems like a beneficial position for LA.
They would, but also at the same time, we have to remember Rodgers is from California. I think that's like right outside Los Angeles from what I heard. So there's incentive for him to want to go back home to finish his career the right way and all those kind of things. Now, again, I'm not saying it's going to happen. There are going to be a lot of needy quarterback teams. God forbid the Giants come calling and say, hey, we missed on Stafford. We missed on Darnold. Let's just roll with Rodgers, save our jobs, and then hope that a player comes up in the next couple of years after we buy us some credibility. I don't know if that credibility is going to be bought because they are just an awfully run organization. But at the same time, you have to look at where the quarterback situation is. And there are a lot of teams needing one. Pittsburgh, Indianapolis, the Giants. You look at the Rams are going to be one. The Vikings could be one if they're not completely sold on J.J. McCarthy. So there's going to be a lot of teams this year that are in need of a quarterback. And the Giants are going to have to get in line because they don't have the weapons. They don't have the coaching. They don't have the stability that they can offer some of these signal callers. And I think that's a big part of the equation here. If you're Sam Darnold, why would you want to go to the Giants where you may be released next season if you don't play well and save the job of Brian Daboll, as opposed to, let's say, Pittsburgh, where it's just they're the pinnacle of stability, even if they're not the pinnacle of winning every single year.
Let me ask you this as it pertains to it. We just talked about comments that sometimes we can pull from the Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn pressers, and maybe they mean something, maybe they mean nothing. I kind of raised my eyebrow when this happened. Connor Hughes asked Aaron Glenn, is it basically probable that Tyrod Taylor is going to be your week one starting quarterback? And Aaron Glenn was like, whoa, we can't say that. The free agency, draft, and all these things. He said nice things about Tyrod, but it's odd because I've seen a lot of coaches in that circumstance ask that question, go, yeah, Tyrod Taylor's he's the quarterback on the roster. Yes, he's our starter until something else happens. But he didn't say that. So I wonder, am I reading too much into it to say clearly they're getting somebody else that is very competitive or an upgrade over Tyrod, or is that just a comment from a first-year head coach?
No, I think it's somewhere in the middle. I don't think, if I were Aaron Glenn, I probably would have said something of he will be in consideration. I have to look back at the transcript. I think he said something along those lines, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But at the same point, we know they're going to bring in another quarterback. We know they're going to. That's kind of been the MO, whether it's trading up in the draft for Cam Ward, whether it's staying at 7 and drafting Jackson Dart, whether it's doing your best to get Shadur Sanders. They're going to draft or potentially be drafting a quarterback, or they're going to hit free agency. And the name everyone hears in free agency is Justin Fields. If it's Fields and Taylor at a quarterback battle, that's going to be really interesting because I would argue that Tyrod Taylor is a much better thrower of the football than Justin Fields. And Fields is a better runner, but we don't know what the Jets would prefer, at least for the 2025 season. So it comes down to preference. It comes down to money. And also comes down to if this team falls in love with anybody in the draft. I said the combine this year is going to be very important for the Jets because if they fall in love with the quarterback, you are going to know day one, day two of free agency. If they fall in love with a guy like Ward or Sanders or Dart, there's going to be no incentive to sign Justin Fields. There is none because you would have the veteran on the roster in Tyrod Taylor. I know there's a growing support in there inside the halls of One Jets Drive. And if you're able to do that, you're able to draft a guy, why would you sign up to hire a free agent as well just to sort of murky up the waters? It doesn't make much sense in that regard. So I certainly think that where things stand right now, I think they're probably adding another quarterback. It's just a matter of who they fall in love with. If they don't fall in love with anyone, they'll probably sign a free agent. If they fall in love with somebody, then they better do everything in their power to go and get them.
Did you make anything of the comments? Again, Connor Hughes, he did a really good job with his question asking. One of his questions was, do you believe that the Jets basically, to Aaron Glenn, or no, it was to Darren Muji, excuse me, do you believe the team is in a position that they could sacrifice draft assets to move up to go get a quarterback? And Muji responded yes, but then he also kind of saddled the answer with, we could move up, we could move down, we could stay, which is what all GMs say. Did you take anything out of any of his answers that the Jets would actually be willing to move up in this draft for a quarterback if, as you've mentioned a few times, there's a quarterback they fall in love with?
No, but I will say when it comes to these kind of players and at the quarterback position specifically, if you fall in love with a guy, it doesn't matter the price. The Houston Texans tried to give up the farm with the second overall pick and C.J. Stroud or the third with Will Anderson, whatever pick they traded up for. It seemed like they gave up the farm. People were wondering what the heck they were doing, that the quarterback class wasn't considered great. It was considered solid. I think there's a lot of comparisons you can draw to this quarterback class to a couple of years ago when Stroud and Bryce Young were in there. But you look at it, and Houston loves what they did. The Panthers are starting to love what they did as well. I think they've taken strides with Bryce Young. So if you are a team that needs a quarterback and you want and fall in love with a guy in the draft, it is not a question of, well, should we give up 2 first-rounders, 3 first-rounders? If you want your guy, go and get your guy. C.J. Stroud took the Houston Texans team without a very good offensive line and with a defense that was essentially picked together with Band-Aids and made it work and got to the playoffs his first year. That is kind of the bar where if you are going all in for a quarterback, that doesn't mean he has to play right away. But if you fall in love with a guy, you go and get him. The price does not matter because if you get it right, you are gods among Jets fans.
What rookie, I don't know if I've asked you this offseason. Everyone seems to find their own people. Who is the rookie quarterback that you've planted your flag on that you would prefer of all the developmental quarterback options that exist in this draft? Who is the Nick Faria guy?
I haven't done enough research yet to say this is my guy. I never also want to be that kind of person because in the draft, so many different things happen. I remember back in the day, I was so angry. I say back in the day, but it was 4 years ago. I was in love with Carson Wentz as a prospect. I loved Wentz. I was so happy when Philadelphia was able to get him. And when they drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round, I thought this is ridiculous. They have completely Carson Wentz out from under his knees. This is a very poor process for an organization that's supposed to be all about process. And I didn't really like Hurts as a prospect either. Well, it's to this day, it's probably one of the greatest picks in Eagles history. Jalen Hurts is a Super Bowl MVP. I love the work that he's done. And there's so many examples of it. We fall in love with prospects because we think we know what is best for the organization. We're not there every day. Fans aren't there every day. They have an opinion. They have a perception. But that perception could be wrong. The Philadelphia Eagles, every Eagles fan on the planet wanted Ricky Williams in the 1999 draft. And we're essentially ready to burn the city down when they drafted Donovan McNabb. But even then, it's one of the greatest picks in Eagles history because it completely changed the franchise. So just because you may not fall in love with the guy right away doesn't mean that he's the wrong pick for the team. I would argue that if there's such universal dislike for a particular player, but he kind of shows that he has it, then there's a good sign that he could actually play pretty well because there's just so much history that shows that. So if I'm the Jets and Jets fans, I wouldn't fall in love with anybody. let the process play out. Let the team go through its decision-making process, because at the end of the day, it's they're the ones that are making the decision. They're the ones that are going to have to live with it. And at this time specifically, it's not up to us to say it's right or wrong. This is their first month on the job. Let them go through their process and see what it comes out.
Yeah, easier said than done, I'm afraid. I think we've all fallen in love with this quarterback or that quarterback and say, oh, the Jets have to do this or else it's idiots or dumb or what have you.
I will say, I will
ahead.
say, I think there's support, at least growing support, for Cam Ward. I know there's a contingent in the Jets organization that likes Jackson Dart. Everyone's kind of waiting to see what happens with Shadur Sanders. Is he going to throw? Is he a lock for the Raiders at 5 if it gets to that point? That's certainly a question, but there very well could be a situation where the Jets don't want to trade up and give too many assets for Cam Ward, even though they like him, and say, hey, we'll trade back in the first and get our guy in Jackson Dart and pick up a couple of picks along the way. That also could be a possibility.
Let me ask you, one of the great things about the combine is everyone is all centrally localized. You have GMs, you have head coaches, you have media reporter, you have straight up reporters. You just have media personalities that cover the NFL. Have you been hearing any rumors about the NFL, Jets, anything saucy? People, once they start getting some liquids back in the throat, they're like, they seem a little bit more willing to discuss things.
Yeah, no, we're still early in that overall process.
Okay.
I will say the only things that I've heard of specifically are who they're looking for at quarterback. I think they're waiting to see what happens during workouts this week. If they come away impressed with Dart, if they come away impressed if Ward is someone that ends up throwing. I know he's been on the fence for a little bit. That's going to be something the Jets are looking for. But again, like I said, they're very early in this process. They just filled out their staff. They're now going through the scouting process of making sure they find the right players for their particular team, and you move forward with that. It all depends on certain things. Right now it sounds from the people that I've heard, the Giants are going to give a can't miss package to the Rams for Matthew Stafford. That's the little that I've heard to this point. I look and you hear all the different free agents. The Patriots are expected to be players because of their salary cap. The Commanders are going to try to go in on Myles Garrett, but they're going to try to do a lot of different things. But it's all smoke and mirrors right now. I think later on in the combine you'll hear more substantiated stuff at this point.
And last one, and before we get you out of here and you get to enjoy all of Indianapolis and the NFL Combine, Aaron Glenn spoke about the Quinnen Williams thing. And for those who missed it, Quinnen Williams responded to the fact that Aaron Rodgers was no longer to be on the team with, oh boy, another rebuild year coming, with an eye roll emoji. Deleted it within 5 seconds, but the internet's forever, baby. And, so it caught a lot of flack. AG addressed that at his podium, that he talked to Quinnen about it, and he says moving forward we're going to be keeping things in house, and he seemed to have it with some anger and verve. What kind of message do you believe that sent? Because Aaron Glenn also said that several players seemed to be upset about the Aaron Rodgers news.
It sounded like, and this is what I heard as well from people, that after Aaron Glenn spoke, and we talked about how strong of a press conference, how in control he is during these press conferences and these types of things. The one thing you heard, and a player, holy crap, like this guy gets it, this guy understands it. There are people buying in left and right as we speak. I will say that was probably the strongest answer yesterday. The fact that he addressed the Quinnen Williams, subject and said, listen, they are right to their opinion. Players have a right to, feel angry, whatever emotion they want to feel because of the history of losing. All they know in the NFL is losing. But that's not how we run things. If you have a problem, come and talk to me. We'll figure it out, and we'll work on it together. That is, I don't want to say a huge contrast to what Robert Saleh did, because Saleh did say, listen, we prefer to handle things in-house. We want to do this, we want to do that. But you see the difference in passion in how they talk. Robert Saleh came to the Jets as a head coach, as the head coach, and you instantly saw a change in who he was. He wasn't the same rah-rah, yelling and screaming guy that everyone loved out of San Francisco. It just seemed that New York had sucked that out of him very, very early in the process. Aaron Glenn's a different cat. He is quite literally just this is who I am, this is what I'm going to be. You're going to follow my instructions, and we are going to win if you follow my instructions.
And it's very easy for a fan base, I've noticed, to follow and buy into something like that. If you have a no-nonsense head coach who has a plan, and we don't know if the plan's going to work, but has a plan and is steadfast in his belief in his plan, it's really, really easy to buy in and get excited for that. So it may not happen right away, but I think Aaron Glenn has truly, truly passed a lot of early tests with this team. Now he's got the big one coming up. He wasn't perfect in this press conference either. I thought probably the biggest issue that he had, and it's more of a debate than anything else, but with his address at the quarterback position, essentially saying we have a lot of great players on this team. You know, we're not one player. I completely understand that to a point. I get it as a head coach, but the Jets' biggest problem isn't the fact that they have players. We know they've got good players. The problem is they don't have a quarterback, and you have to address the quarterback issue because that is how multiple coaches in Jets history have been fired. They haven't figured out the quarterback position. So to essentially brush it off and say, we're going to find the best players for our team, but we've got a lot of great players outside of quarterback that we're going to focus on. Okay, great. That's really nice to hear. That's also what kind of gets you into trouble, because if you can't find your quarterback in the NFL, you're not going to be in there for long.
That's for sure. Nick, enjoyed the wonders of Indianapolis and the NFL Combine. That's on my bucket list, baby. It's going to be a wonderful event, the actual workouts and all the extracurricular activity that happens. Thanks for carving out the time, buddy.
Of course. Thanks, man.
All right, there he is, Nick Faria, Jets reporter from Athlon Sports, live from the Combine. Not literally at the Combine live, but he is in Indianapolis, and he attended the Combine yesterday, and he will be attending it throughout the week. So appreciate, big salute to Nick Faria. Wasn't sure if he was going to be able to join us with all his stuff on the road, but he did. So salute to Nick Faria. We got over 400 people in the room. Like the video, hit subscribe, baby. We've got 2 giveaways going on right now. Number 1 is free. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel to be eligible. And let me check right now where we're at on our subscriber count to see how close we are to giving that away. Let me see. Internet loading. Let me see. How far are we away on the subscriber count? While that's also loading, we have our other giveaway that's happening with our raffle tickets. So I'll wait for YouTube to pop up there in just a second. We're giving away a full-size NFL football, baby. To be eligible for this giveaway here on the channel, you have to purchase raffle tickets. They're $2.99 a piece, and how you purchase them is quite simple. Send in super chats here on the channel. Buy a membership for yourself. You can join the Boy Green Coffee Club in the YouTube description down below. You can gift Boy Green Coffee Club memberships if you'd like. Those are $2.99 a piece, so each one is a raffle ticket. For super chats, you can do any combination of money, but just note that raffle tickets are $2.99 a pop. What we're giving away for someone that purchased at least one raffle ticket, will be at random, is this full-size NFL football. It's a signature New York Jets football with Garrett Wilson, Elijah Vera Tucker, Aaron Rodgers. There's all kinds of wonderful signatures on this ball. A New York Jets Nike Salute to Service long sleeve and a custom laser engraving package for Jets logos and Boy Green logos merged together. We'll be announcing this winner on Saturday, March 1st, but you only have today, tomorrow, and Friday. Those are your last 3 days to submit raffle tickets for this contest. At close of business on Friday, this raffle is over, and you can no longer be eligible for it by purchasing raffle tickets. We've been keeping track of them the entire time. Our scrolling ticker has our top 5 biggest gifters so far this month in terms of how many raffle tickets they have. So good luck, everybody. Keep sending in those raffle tickets. It's going to be a wonderful prize pack for somebody. So salute to all you guys. Want to make sure I gave that another shout out. I want to highlight a couple of comments here. So Philium, I put this aside for later. How much is Sauce's 5th-year option projected to be? I prefer not to pay him top 5 money right now. Here are the 5th-year option numbers, and these are projected from over the cap, but they're pretty good because there are 4 possible contractual numbers a 5th-year option can be worth. It could be a basic 5th-year option, a playtime 5th-year option, 1 Pro Bowl, or multiple Pro Bowls. And obviously, well, I don't want to say obviously, maybe some people won't know. If you don't get any, like, let's just say you've just played out your rookie contract and you didn't get a lot of playing time and you didn't make any Pro Bowls, you can make the basic 5th-year option package. Evan Neal, by the way, achieved that for the New York Giants. Some people get playing time incentives that they just played a lot of snaps, but they didn't make any Pro Bowls. Trayvon Walker from the class is eligible for that 5th-year option. Ahmad Gardner, a.k.a. Sauce Gardner, has gotten multiple Pro Bowls, so he's eligible for the highest price point fifth-year option that's available. For Sauce Gardner, it's $20.8 million, and that is fully guaranteed money coming for that fifth-year option. Again, that contract, if the Jets exercise that contractual option, that would not be for this upcoming season. It would be the season after. So keep that in mind. Sauce Gardner's been in the league for 3 years, but you make your fifth-year option decision based on the first 3 years. And again, if the Jets decline this option, Sauce Gardner will be a free agent after 2025. If they accept it, he's under contract for 2 years, just to fully explain that to people. So here are the fifth-year options numbers. So Sauce Gardner, he has the maximum fifth-year option money amount total. $20.8 million is the fourth overall pick from the 2022 draft. Garrett Wilson did not make any Pro Bowls, so he is only eligible for $17 million for his fifth-year option. Again, note that is fully guaranteed. Jermaine Johnson has the basic package because he didn't achieve the playing time for injuries, and also that first year he didn't play a lot, so he doesn't get the playing time fifth-year option, and he obviously didn't make multiple Pro Bowls, so all of that comes together. So Jermaine is set to make $15.1 million if the Jets exercise those fifth-year options, William. So those are all the fifth-year options for the eligible players in the 2022 class: Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Jermaine Johnson. And one more time, just for people to make sure I read those options, okay? $15.1 million for Jermaine Johnson. It is $20.8 million for Sauce Gardner and $17 million for Garrett Wilson. And folks, those are all fully guaranteed. So that's a lot of money that would be coming on the books for the Jets, not 2025, but 2026, which would complicate it, which would make sense why, just to explain it for people, why would you sign these guys ahead of time? That would be the reason if you want to manipulate the cap, because those are a lot of massive hits coming based and added on to whatever else you have in there as well. I've mentioned a few times here on the show before we open up the phone lines that the art of asking a question as a media member is difficult. It's difficult and sometimes simple, which I'll explain in a second. We've gotten several questions. Did NC Green, I'll throw you up here on the screen. Did anyone mention the health of Jordan Travis? Well, a media reporter did ask Aaron Glenn about the health status of Jordan Travis. The problem is the media reporter didn't stop there. He started with, "Hey, AG, what is like the health update of Jordan Travis?" And he didn't stop talking. He kept talking and said, "And how important is adding competition in the room for Jordan?" And AG just jumped on the competition thing. Yeah, competition is important. Competition, we're going to be adding it to every room, not just quarterback. So I think sometimes media members add too much to your answer. And I hope this is a lesson for people that eventually get in the business or what have you. Just keep this in mind. Less is more. For instance, on my radio show, when I bring on guests, we're going to have 2 guests on my radio show today. The reason why I bring on guests on my show, like Nick Faria and others, is to bring information to the table that I don't have. Nick Faria is at the Combine. He's going to be able to provide information firsthand that I cannot. So I feel like that'd be beneficial for Boy Green Daily listeners. When you're asking, like if I was at the Combine and I'm asking AG a question, it's not about me and having this amazing, brilliant, stat-based question. It's just about asking the question and getting out of the way and allowing AG to answer it. So I'm not saying don't put any thought into your question, but sometimes less is more. So there was a media member that asked about the health status of Jordan Travis, but then they added extra hoopla, and then AG never answered the Jordan Travis question. So no, we do not have an update on Jordan Travis. Now, I will say this, maybe we were never going to get an update. So even if you said, "Hey, what's the update on Jordan Travis?" We don't have one. Oh, okay. But maybe that would have happened, but we won't know because of that. So I just want to make sure that is sort of talked about too. Again, asking questions is an underrated art. An underrated art. Hey, baby, we got a new member to the Boy Green Coffee Club. He punched his own ticket in. Welcome, Chris, to the family. He's part of the Boy Green Coffee Club, baby. Chris, you officially have a raffle ticket for our giveaway, baby, happening on Saturday. You've got a chip at the table. That's all you want, baby. It's all you want. So, Chris, welcome to the family. Appreciate it. Thank you. And you're now a member to the Boy Green Coffee Club. You have access to our Discord channel. If you're a Discord fan, feel free to download the app on your phone. You can join our community. We talk all things New York Jets well beyond Boy Green Daily. So welcome to the family, Chris. Great to have you, pal. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Christopher. Chris. Yeah. You're here, baby. Let's see what Williams has to say. I would sign Wilson and pick up Gardner's fifth-year option. I would take a wait and see for Johnson. I agree on Jermaine Johnson. You have to wait and see. I love Jermaine. I love his elite mentality. I like a lot about Jermaine. You have to wait based on the injury. You have to see it. Now, here's the thing. You won't be able to see Jermaine before you make the decision on the fifth-year option. Practice and practice, talking about practice and all that doesn't happen in time for you to make that fifth-year option decision. Now, you'll know the medical stuff, which the Jets know more than me, obviously. So I'd wait till we get closer, but let's figure it out. Phillium talks about signing Garrett Wilson, so you could sign him to that long-term deal right now. So you can either shred up the fifth-year option or accept it and make it part of the contract. A lot of different options there, and then pick up Gardner's fifth-year option. I would say this. I think all fifth-year options get picked up, but maybe to Phillium's point, they could work out into extensions. Taylor Sterling here, excuse me. No, don't take a quarterback. We need to give Travis a shot. Kill me now. See, I just have to say, because this was talked about earlier, Taylor, and this is where you could get into trouble. No, don't take a quarterback. We need to give insert guy a shot. That's what the Jets said about Christian Hackenberg. Christian Hackenberg was drafted with like the 50th overall pick. We didn't see him in his rookie year. Spoiler alert, we never saw him, but that's neither here nor there. We didn't see him. So the next year, the Jets go, well, we can't take a quarterback. We got to give, quote-unquote, Christian Hackenberg a shot. So they passed on Patrick Mahomes. They passed on Deshaun Watson. And they took Jamal Adams. Now, Jamal Adams is an all-pro player, and then they were able to trade him for 2 first-round picks plus. That ended up being AVT and Garrett Wilson, 2 very important pieces to the cog. So it all sort of worked out, but I'm sure a lot of Jet fans would have preferred that Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson quarterback. Maybe not Deshaun Watson, but you get the point. So maybe Jordan Travis is going to be a wonderful player, Taylor. Maybe. That's possible. But maybe if you allow this mentality to happen, you miss out on a quarterback that you could have, should have, would have taken at 7 or 42 or wherever it is because of that. So it goes back and forth. I just want you to think about that, Taylor. That could be something to consider. That's just what I would add to that total. Hey, now. I love Jermaine. Absolutely love Jermaine. Oh, okay. Taylor was joking. It's hard sometimes to pick up jokes and sarcasm with the text, but BJ was joking. The Hackenberg situation is exactly what I'm afraid of. Okay, we're dancing in the same waters then. All right, let's do this, baby. Let's open up the phone lines here on the show. We got nearly 500 people in the room. Like the video, hit subscribe. If you'd like to call into the show, now is the time to do so. We're about to make that the pinned comment on youtube.com/BoyGreen25. Every day, Boy Green Daily streams live on Heavy on Jets. That's my employer, where I write a bunch of Jets articles. You guys can check all those out on heavy.com. On my Twitter account, @BoyGreen25, that's where I tweet out a lot of the clips of Aaron Glenn, Darren Muji, people talking about the Jets. That ends up being content on Boy Green Daily, and also I try to keep you guys all informed on what everyone important in the world is saying about the New York Jets. That's my service for me to you. And then on YouTube itself, the optimal way to watch and consume Boy Green Daily. Again, if you'd like to call into the show, head over to YouTube. If you're on Facebook or Twitter right now, we're about to flip the switch. It'll be the pinned comment. It'll say call in here in just a moment. We'll be right back after this on Boy Green Daily, after this quick hep song.
Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Talking just football, man. Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. The New York Jets Football Club. Wow. Offense, defense, special teams. Watch the Super Bowl season with Boy Green. J-E-T-S. Jets. Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. You're talking Jets football, man.
Thank you for the tunes, Hep. I think you're going to like it. We're working on a brand new intro for the show. I know a few people have brought that up with, geez, Aaron Rodgers? I'm working on it, people, for goodness sake. We've got the professionals working on this thing. So we'll get to that as soon as we can. So hopefully we'll be debuting that new intro soon. Also, I want to give another shout out. If you guys did not see the news, I'll be hosting a live draft party on Thursday, April 24th from 7:15 until well after midnight. It's going to be a 5+ hour live stream. It'll be myself and Connor Long. We'll be taking phone calls. We'll be having special guests, current players, former players. It's going to be amazing. So hopefully you guys can check that out. And that is presented by Shoreline Sports Cards and Homage. That'll be a live stream. You guys could check out that video right now and set a reminder for that stream, and also like the video right now. You'll see a really cool graphic of me and Connor that's in the live section again. That's coming up on Thursday, April 24th. Thanks to you people. I asked you guys in the Discord, do you guys want to see this? And we had 100% voting. Yes. So I am a man of the people. All right, let's jump over to the phone lines. We got Hop on Pop here first on the program. Pop, welcome to the show.
Hey now, good morning.
It's great to see you.
Good to see you. I'm not calling to tell you that I told you so.
Yeah, I feel like you are. Yeah.
No, I'm not. We're just going to move on from that. I would just tell you that's the world, the NFL today. If you're a value, the only reason that Stafford wouldn't get $60 million is the amount of runway left in his career. Otherwise, I mean, it's going to be there's going to be crazy pay for these quarterbacks.
I would just jump in just to say is why I thought it. Like, not everyone is Tom Brady, and some people want the bag, and I can't blame Matthew Stafford because he is worthy of the bag. And I don't think I ever put that into question if that was to anyone who thought that. I'm not saying that at all. I think Matthew Stafford is still a top 10 quarterback in this league, but I just thought that, hey, that didn't seem to be important to him from the outside, and obviously it is. So he is making, or set to make, $27.5 million this year, and according to Peter Schrager, he wants $50 million plus on his new deal for this final runway, and I imagine multiple years, which must be the rub there with the Rams as well. So we'll see where he goes. If I'm Matthew Stafford, I don't want to go to the Giants, but the Giants are incredibly desperate, so I guess we'll see where he ends up.
Yeah. I mean, he's trying to set the table for himself in his retirement, but you can't blame a guy for doing that. We all need to do that. My biggest fear is a couple things. I disagree with Nick Faria. I think the Jets do need, if we were able to get a hold of Fields and at the discount double check bargain basement price, I think he's going to be available, and draft in the middle of the round. Then having Tyrod. Now we have solutions. Now 2023 will never happen again. And then you still have Jordan Travis. I'm not throwing him out with the bathwater, but I think a multi-tiered approach is the new way to look at it.
100% agree, by the way. I just want to say I've been disagreeing with Nick with that the entire offseason. I don't think if the Jets, I don't think there's any world that, so Nick says, if the Jets don't pick up a veteran quarterback, again, we can respectfully disagree. That's fine. He can be over there. I'm over here. That's life. It's going to happen. But he says if, basically the Jets don't pick up a veteran quarterback, it shows that they want this quarterback high in the draft. I don't see any situation where the Jets do not add a veteran quarterback. I don't see that at all. It's going to be somebody. Now, we'll debate whether it's Sam Darnold or Jameis Winston on the spectrum, but I think 100% they're adding a quarterback, and it should. I hope it does not affect the draft plans. I hope that you have multiple choices. Maybe the veteran has Geno Smith here. Whoa, where did that go? I don't know. Pick your random quarterback that's out there in the universe. They just burst on the scene out of nowhere. Maybe that happens. Maybe the rookie ends up being Russell Wilson. I don't know. But the more chances you give yourself, the better position I think you put yourself in.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Because Tyrod has 1 year left on his deal, I believe.
Right.
And then who knows?
Correct.
This other vet you bring in is gonna be the overlap that we have not had in the past. Right now, we wouldn't be talking about a whatever long playoff drought if the Jets had done this layered approach. If they'd had a solid quarterback back in 2023, the playoff drought would be over. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, a mediocre quarterback on the Jets roster in 2023, they go from 7 wins to 11 wins like that. And then what are we talking about? So I wanted to get that point out. I want to say, I think Aaron Glenn and Muji are doing, they're not just saying things. They're not a mouthpiece.
Mm-hmm.
You have the right to say what you want. We got together. We evaluated it. Just the cold, clear communications. It wasn't best for the Jets. We're moving on. So that was very encouraging.
And they refused to dabble, right? There was so was Aaron Rodgers, and these are other questions that came up. Was Aaron Rodgers off-field activities the reason why you moved on? Darren just straight up says, I'm not speaking any more on Aaron Rodgers. I already did. Refer back to statement number 1. Like, yeah, they didn't play.
And the and we've had issues in the past with whether it's the GM or the head coach, and they're it's kind of meandering, or some ambiguous no, we talked about that. Now we're not talking about it anymore. Let's move on. So, but my biggest fear now is some people fear carnival workers that have small hands that smell of cabbage. Some people are afraid of the Dutch. I'm afraid that the Jets are going to draft Shadur Sanders. That is my fear. My fear is he's going to drop to number 7. They're going to draft him, which I think would be a terrible idea.
Wow. Well, that was, for those who missed it, we talked about it a little bit on the show yesterday. It wasn't the main theme of the show, and I don't know if we're going to have that as the main theme of the show at any point this week, but Mel Kiper Jr. had exactly what you said. Shadur Sanders slips in the draft. I don't think he ever slips to the Jets because I think the Raiders would just take him. But I guess if the Raiders got Matthew Stafford, it's possible. So anything's possible. But Mel Kiper Jr. had Shadur Sanders, the quarterback out of Colorado, slipping to the Jets at 7. The Jets going, we'll take that. To me, I'd be sort of intrigued. And a lot of people are like, how would he handle the New York spotlight? Well, he's handled the spotlight of being a Pro Football Hall of Famer's son pretty well. That's an intense spotlight, playing the same sport your father did at a Hall of Fame level, and also obviously playing/coaching under him, being with him at all these stops of his college career. I think this kid, obviously he doesn't have all the talent or the biggest arm or anything of that nature, but I love that he's been able to handle that pressure, and he seems to have a confident swagger about him. So I don't know how I feel about trading up for Shadur and giving up the God's farm. But him being available at 7, and you take your quarterback swing in a league where it's it's the haves and have-nots at quarterback, you could sort of sell me on Shadur.
Yeah, no. And the only reason that anybody knows his name, the only reason is he was in the top 10 for the Heisman vote. He was number 4 for quarterbacks, by the way. Number 4.
Top 4, nice.
No. He was the 4th quarterback, ranked 8th in the Heisman voters. And the only reason that happened is because who his father is.
Oh,
right?
Right.
His delivery is slow. He doesn't follow through. Most of the plays that were big plays would have been interceptions in the NFL or in a real Division I school, right? 22% of his yards came against South Dakota State, right? South Dakota State, okay. And I forgot the other team. Hold on. South Dakota State and Oklahoma State. One is not a Division I school. 22% of his passing yards from those 2 games, north of 400 both games against shitty teams. One of them was the bottom of the Big 12, and the other one wasn't among the top 120 schools in the nation because they weren't even in Division I football. So
what about the completion percentage? 74% completion percentage? That's pretty good.
He's playing in a crappy division. Again, if Colorado was located in Kansas, Colorado would have been the 3rd best team because they got beat by the other 2 teams in Kansas. They are not good. It's a mistake. He's overrated. And I believe the reason he's not competing at the combine is because it becomes self-evident, his skill set against somebody else's. He's going to shine at Colorado when he's running the route tree that they wanted to run. At the combine, at the Shrine Bowl, at the North, all these Pro Bowls, he would not have shown. That's why he didn't play, and his draft stock would have plummeted. And let me ask you, all this is because I don't want the Jets to take him because I think it would be a mistake.
So let me just say, excuse me, you're not alone in your take. Connor Rodgers was just on the Jets official show yesterday, live for the Combine, and says he does not believe Shadur Sanders and the Jets would be a good fit. So you're not alone on this island. There are other very prominent people that feel the way you're saying. But, when you evaluate Shadur Sanders and you look at everything that he brings to the table, this to me seems like an intriguing guy. There are warts. He holds the ball too long, and there's been some of those problems for Shadur, but you're getting him at 7. You're getting a whack at the pinata, and draft analysts have proposed it in this way. So this is what I wanted to throw at you. People say, because the top 2 quarterbacks are considered Shadur Sanders and Cam Ward. They have labeled Shadur Sanders as the floor guy. They don't think he's going to be a bust. They think he's just going to have a nice floor, but his ceiling is in question. How good is he going to be? Is he going to be a top 5 quarterback? Is he going to be a top 7? Where does he stand? Cam Ward, they say, has a chance to be a top quarterback, but he could totally bust out of the league. That's what draft analysts have said. Your response?
Yeah, I think it's one of those takes is true. They just labeled wrong. Right. I think Cam Ward can come in and be a serviceable. I don't think we could come back 5 years. I don't think he's going to be an upper echelon quarterback. I think he's going to be a serviceable NFL quarterback. Shadur Sanders, I believe, can come back. I'm saying it. He's going to be a bust, right? The things that he's got away with at Colorado, he will not get away with. His mechanics, his throwing mechanics, which is almost impossible to change. He's slow. He doesn't follow through on his throws. He drops back too far out of the normal pocket, allowing him susceptible to edge rushers. And the edge rushers aren't from San Diego State University for kids that aren't on a scholarship because they don't have that many. He's got somebody who's going to eat his frickin' lunch, right? The level of talent is going to be so markedly different. I just think it's a bad idea. And it's nothing about him. Again, the only reason we know about him is because Deion Sanders was his dad, right? If he was that good, like nobody knew it, right? Where does he play football? Jackson State in Colorado. Nobody else had any interests.
But look at the statistics. So it's not just like he's a shitty quarterback and if he was Shadur Smith, no one would be talking about him. All of these numbers are terrific. The completion percent is terrific. The passing yards are terrific. The touchdowns are terrific. And you could say, wow, cupcake schedule. You could give me the Mel Kiper thing he gave about Zach Wilson. He has a sugar high from all the crappy opponents that he's played. Like you could say that, but we say that about quarterbacks every year. Again, Zach Wilson and others that have put up video game numbers against lesser talent. He can't pick who he plays. He's at Colorado. That's where he is. That's where he's throwing it around.
That's right. Right. So I would tell you, he should be in the mid rounds, not in the first round. That's just my opinion. Yeah,
and I think it ends up being a moot point because unless the Jets trade up, obviously in that case, the Jets would be moving up for him. But if they just stay at 7, I don't think Shadur's on the board anyway. I think his floor is 6 at Vegas. I think that's, again, outside of a Stafford thing, I guess. But I think at 6, he doesn't fall any further than 6. He could go to the Giants. He could go to the Titans. He could go to the Browns. And then, like, at all hell's loose, I just don't see him falling any further than 6 with the Raiders, which means we wouldn't have a chance unless we move up. So,
well, you know what? I think he's Ryan Leaf 2.0. Just write that down. Who, by the way, was drafted at number 2, which should sound familiar to Jets fans. But anyways, make sure you buy your raffle tickets, your Boy Green merch, and tune in Saturday,
okay.
For the reveal, and not Boy Green doing the full Monty reveal. The reveal of the raffle.
Yeah. Okay, I just put that down. Pop will be on the Saturday show. I thought I remembered that, and it's good to have it confirmed. Pop, thanks as always for joining us.
All right, have a great day.
Wow, he must have the windows open. I could hear the birds chirping there in Atlanta. The weather must be nice. Things going quite well for Pop there. Very beautiful. All right, let's go back to the phone lines here. Up next, we have Easy here on the show. Good morning, Easy.
Hey, Paulie, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. It's great to see you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a couple days. I had to just, it's too much jet. After a while, I mean, it's the off season, so sometimes I just have to take a break from it.
No worries. But, I think that's healthy for everybody, probably.
But I keep thinking to myself, if the Jets can just kind of limp through the next some playoff runs, and then let the other teams take the risks on these quarterbacks the next 2 years, and then we sign a veteran with about 5 years under his belt, and then that guy can last us about 10, 12 years. I don't know. That might be a plan if there's no really super good studs out there in the college ranks looking to come up. As far as Shadur Sanders, I don't know. He's just – I mean, we had Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson had all the talent in the world, and it took him forever holding on to the ball. And he had a monster arm and all this and that, and he could scramble and run. Shadur Sanders can do none of that. And he still has all the same problems as Zach Wilson without the tools. So why would you take him? Just
that's fair.
Putting that out there. He's probably a late second, early third round pick for someone who wants to take a flyer on him, who's got an aging quarterback. My first choice for quarterback for this team would probably be Matt Stafford. I don't think we can get him.
Yeah.
If you wanted to spend that much money on the quarterback, quite frankly, you would have kept Rodgers for one more year. So at least the cap hit, you wouldn't have. You'd still be paying the cap hit money, but at least you wouldn't have to then go out and get another quarterback and then still pay the cap hit money. So I kind of think that was a little bit. I don't know. And you guys know I wasn't really big on getting Aaron Rodgers. You know, the whole time I kind of didn't want any of that stuff. First off, I wanted to keep Sam Darnold during that big draft.
Way back when.
And yeah, we talked about that. And then the second thing was I wanted Derek Carr because I didn't want to have that much investment in someone who was going to dictate to the team what he wanted. Derek Carr would have came in here and pretty much, I mean, he hasn't lit it up, but at least he would have been cheaper and he would have played within what the people told him to do rather than him bossing people around. So.
Well, Easy, you may get your wish. Derek Carr may hit the open market, and maybe that car gets brought back to New York after all those martinis. Martini Nate. So it could still happen. That's still possible, Easy, but I appreciate the call. Wonderful. Okay, we've got a bunch of callers here, so I'll try to get to everyone here on the program. Let's go up next here. Who do we got? Let me see here. Chef Kevin Gilbert. He joins us here on the program. Chef?
BG, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing great, by the way. Good luck in the as Maniac Madness. I saw you made the field. Congratulations.
Yeah, dude, man. And it sucks. Like, I'm happy that I made it. You know, happy that the committee got me or whatever. I think 6 is a fair spot for me where I'm at.
Yeah.
But I'm going against Snowball, somebody who
I saw that. That's
who
tough.
I adore.
That's tough, man.
You know, and he recently, him and Austrian Jet fan, salute to Austrian Jet fan, like, you know, the two of them, you know, able to create an emoji for this show.
Oh,
whatever.
yeah,
so
they
I'm
did.
like, that's
now you're gonna have to turn around and
man.
beat him with a brick. Yeah, that's rough.
That timing, like, you know, I gotta beat Snowball, but you know, it's different, man, because he's like the one dude, like the nicest dude out of all this like stuff, fan stuff or whatever that I've had the opportunity to interact with. But he's a game show host too. With the Jets roll wide stuff.
Of course. Yeah.
So
wide.
I'm not taking him lightly. I do expect the dub though, but
there you go.
You know, he's not a walkover, man. This ain't gonna be a walk in the park. It's definitely gonna be a shootout. I expect a victory.
Yeah, of course.
And then I heard Faria, he got Bonesy over me. So, you know,
really?
I'm gonna try to do my best to fuck up some people's brackets, man. Try my best.
Please do. Yeah. Let's go. I'm hoping Chef goes on a run, baby. I'm trying to make some money.
I just enjoy, you know, the interacting and talking with everybody and whatnot. So, you know, it's all fun and whatnot to me. I thank you. I tuned into your yesterday morning show.
Thank you.
I missed your post game presser with Woody. Yeah. So my bad if I'm not, you know, if I don't really know where you're at or whatever. But basically out of that, I didn't really get a ton out of it as most of us. I guess the biggest thing I'll just kind of let you know about was it almost felt a little hypocritical of Glenn talking about he wanted to keep things in the house, and my point being, it's like, you know how big of a influential person Rodgers is, voted by the team, as, you know, as the best player, best, you know, person available.
Yeah, most inspirational. You got the Dennis Bird
There we
award.
go. So for me, it's like, all right, you want to keep things in house, like what y'all are saying, but then why are y'all not telling the players? Why are y'all now giving everybody else the information and the players finding out through you guys giving everybody the information? And what do you expect? If Rodgers is obviously beloved by the whole team and most of the fan base, especially season ticket holders, you know, those Jet fans that, you know, TV watch and whatnot and don't go to the games and say, oh, we don't need Rodgers and they don't have a backup plan and all that other kind of stuff. Like, I don't. They're just a sick, delusional Jet fan. I pay no mind to. It's the ones that go to the games, the ones that want to see wins. When you get rid of somebody, and then it's like, all right, well, what's the backup plan? What's a better plan? And you look at the free agent market, and it's like, all right, I'm like kind of with you, BG, with the Sam Darnold thing. The only thing that he ain't coming back here, man. There's no
probably
way.
True. Yeah,
he's a Cali dude. Now would be a good story, with us letting him go, him doing his thing or whatever, and then him coming back or whatever. Like that would be good. But I think that ship is past, man. And then when you're talking about Quinnen and all that kind of stuff, like, what do you expect, man? Like I've already said this on the show before about him going off on that line coach, man. Aaron Cotton.
Keith Carter you're talking about?
Nah, the Aaron.
Aaron White Cotton.
White
Yes.
Cotton. Yeah. Going off on him. So he and he's a good dude, but at the end of the day, like his emotions and everything, it kind of goes a little bit. So you got to talk to him. You also got to pull Garrett Wilson aside, talk to him, kind of feel that out and whatnot. And I just felt like they did it wrong. They probably should have just spoke to the team and say, hey, this is our plan, this is our vision, just so you're aligned, so you could honestly keep the stuff in the house. Because you saying you want to keep things in the house and then not addressing anything in the house and everybody finds out through the media, that's hypocritical, man. I can't get on board with that. And we could just go off of what they're saying, and based off of that, that's what I took out of it. Now, wanting winners and wanting to win, like, all right, bet. I'm signed up. You want to win and all that kind of stuff? Cool. Looking at the free agent market with the quarterbacks, the only winners I see is Joe Flacco and Russell Wilson have rings, and I don't think they're going to be a fit. So everything else,
it'll be interesting to understand the definition of winner, right? Like, what are you looking for in a quarterback? AG winners. Mike Singletary, we want winners. He's giving us that old speech. So I'm curious, what, to your point, right? Is it literal? Is it former Super Bowl champions that he mentioned? Tyrod Taylor, he's won about 50% of his games that he started. Like, I'm curious to know what they mean by that.
BG, come on, yo, like, you're selling me on a dude with Tyrod Taylor, who, hey, I like him, man. But you're literally on the podium saying, hey, he almost got 500 wins. Like, he's our guy. Like, yo, of course, only us, man. We're built for this shit. Like, yo, are you kidding me? Like, yeah, he fits right into our, and that's only if he makes it through. So we're looking at what, 8 and 9 if he stays healthy. He ain't staying healthy, man. And I'm fine with Tyrod being on the roster, being a backup, or even starting maybe the first couple games, which I really don't want to see, man. You can't sell us to that.
Right.
Like the games this year, man. Like after Denver, dude, the stadium is freaking empty. Now you're going and now what Glenn is saying is like, yo, there's going to be more moves that we're going to make that's going to piss you guys off even more. So it's like, oh, great. It's going to get worse.
Yeah.
Yo, it's going to get worse. Like, what else is going to happen? But already in my head, I know, like, let's let them do whatever they got to do. And then we'll see once the game one, season one, the opener, or whatever. Like, the only thing for me is wins. Everybody else, I don't care what nobody else got to say. They can say, oh, give them a chance, this and that, or whatever. Hey, listen, man. I've seen enough. I've spent I spent way too much money with all this stuff, man. I got to see the production on the field. The production on the field ain't looking good, man. Then it's like, what are we doing here? It's a business. Like Woody Johnson, if he's going into the season with less season ticket sales from the previous season, that's already not a good look, and it's only going to get worse. Last year for me, dude, after those games, the face value on my tickets just decreased. So for me, the game plan is just to wait, because obviously, if we don't have a solid quarterback, if the line ain't looking right or whatever, like what is the incentive for people to buy tickets? There's not going to be it, and if we start losing, guess what? I come out winning because I get to go to the games for free. Basically, dude, it was $20. $20 just to get in the building.
Right?
Like, are you kidding me? But now it's like, all right. They're $20. That means what? That means we're having a bad season. Like, I don't want that, man. Like, I don't want to.
Right.
It's so it's tough, man. It's tough. You just, at this point, it's like we're going off of that. I salute them for basically keeping things in the house or whatever, trying to keep it tight knit and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Let's just see some wins, man. And then the one
Amen.
I'll give Glenn this, man. I'll give Glenn this. All right.
Yeah.
Him saying that he knows how to turn an organization around with the lines. All right. So what we can't discredit that he did, but
Definitely
it's
not.
like
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
it's dude that D line and the O line that they had over there, it's different from what we got here, man. All right.
That's for
That running
sure.
back tandem that they had in Detroit is way different from what we got here. All right, wide receiver core. There is no Goff. There's no Goff out there for us to get. So, that's a little different. So I'm really intrigued to see like what they got, what they're gonna do, man. Because if it don't look good, it's not gonna end well. And for us, man, I'm here. I'm just going off of what they're saying and whatnot. But scrap all that stuff, man. It's what's on the field, man. Do the damage, do the work, put it in. All right. I like the in-house stuff, but then seriously keep it in-house. Lead by example, man. I don't want to see other people finding out before your damn team, man. Before Quinnen, who's been on the team longer than anybody else. Hennessy, the long snapper, he's been in there longer. But I mean, somebody like Quinnen, man, who was drafted homegrown, gave him his extension, all that kind of stuff. Pro bowler, like, come on, man. You got to treat him right, man.
100%. Well, good luck in as Maniac Madness, Chef. We'll be voting for you. There's no question about it, pal, and we enjoy it. Thanks, buddy.
I appreciate it, and shout out to June, man. He did a solid job yesterday. I like the passion, man. My guy, this, man. We had the talk about my Hurricanes and your Syracuse, man. Like, I'm a Cam Ward dude, man.
Yeah,
he won some good games and whatnot. If we have the opportunity to get him, cool. I can't see us just giving the farm, man. Like, as much as I want him, like, how much is I could deal with 2 firsts. Anything more than that is like, all right, now we're really leaving other positions in like a bad need and all that. And if we're gonna really build this the right way, man, we gotta have our draft capital. So, Sador, I'm with that too, where it's like if he falls to us, fine, but I'm not 100% sold, man. I'm really not. The way he holds the ball all loose and whatnot, like he's not really like standing like firm in the pocket like Ward. Ward has a cannon, man. I said this before, man. Cannon like Culpepper. Like, he's not as fast and elusive as Shador, but the dude has a rocket of an arm, man. So, hey, let's see, man. Salute to everything you do, brother.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Chef, and thanks for all the support with all the memberships and raffles. You have several raffle tickets for our contest coming up. We'll announce that winner on Saturday. All right, let's go. Actually, everyone that's left that's trying to call into the show is part of Asmaniac Madness. So everyone that is right now waiting down here, this is a Hall of Fame of people. We'll try to get to everybody before the show's over. Let's go to the 14th seeded Indy Jets here of the Asmaniac Madness. What's up, Indy?
PG, hey, I'm glad I got to follow Chef Kevin because I've got him in my final 4.
Oh, hey, baby. Okay, I like it. Nice.
So, so I just wanted to, give a big shout out to Chef. He's going to be, I'm pulling for him. He's my final 4, but candidate right there.
Beautiful. I love this. I love we have Final Fours, and we're doing Selection Sunday shows. Get your brackets in, by the way. I think you got to get that in by March 1st on Saturday by like 9 a.m. or something. So get your Asmaniac raffle brackets in, or Madness brackets in, rather.
Absolutely. And Chef made a comment, he just wants wins.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, so why are these guys still so hung up on Aaron Rodgers?
Because he only won 5 games last year.
Well, he's only won 13 games in 3 years. Remember this.
Well, there you go. Yeah, right.
Okay, and we talk about Tyrod Taylor with an injury history, but they want a 40-plus-year-old quarterback who's been injured the last 3 years.
That's right.
I mean, okay, in Green Bay, he was injured his last year, only won 8 games. Played 4 snaps the next year, and then this past year, they based, he played injured. We all know this.
Yeah.
And yet they still want him, because of the Aaron Rodgers history, they allowed him to go back in and play horrible. And I call it, and that's what it was. Call it for what it was. He did not play well. The rest of the team didn't play well. I get it. It wasn't just Aaron Rodgers. But if you're going to put the weight on a veteran quarterback, and he didn't perform, why do we want him back? And so I look at, their options as Justin Fields. Fields played 5 games for Pittsburgh, 10
6
touchdowns.
Games. Yeah. He went 4-2.
Okay, 10 touchdowns and 2 turnovers. I mean, 5 rushing, 5 passing, and 1 fumble and 1 interception. 10 touchdowns, 2 turnovers in 5 games. That's better than any 5-game stretch Rodgers had.
That's true.
I mean, I'm not saying he's better than Rodgers, but he played better than now. Maybe Tomlin wanted a veteran quarterback, and that's why they played. That's why he got benched, and But I think Fields is a good option for us.
Yeah.
Because it takes the weight off of Fields. We don't have that Aaron Rodgers history to say, oh, well, look how great Rodgers was 4 years ago.
Right.
And so we keep expecting Rodgers to be this greatness of 2021 or 2020. And you got to stop and think this is 2025. So his greatness hasn't been here. And he was never been great for the Jets. Right? So
no, he has not. There have been only fleeting moments of Houston Texans, Devontae Adams touchdown or a couple of random touchdowns against the Dolphins. There have not been consistent greatness. That is 1,000% true.
Yeah, and you look at everybody says, well, look how much better he played towards the end of the year. Okay, that's great. Let's look at it. Out of the last 8 games,
the Buffalo game was awful. People just forget about that horrible Buffalo game where he said, "Yeah, hey coach, I think it's time to take me out and put Tyrod in." Like people forget that happened. That was week 17.
Right, but look at the last 8 games, and out of those 8 games, Aaron Rodgers couldn't generate a touchdown in the second half of 5 of those games. Now this is the game, right? Yeah. So, I'm glad we moved on from him. I think that Stafford's probably not a good fit for us here either. Probably. I'd like to see if Fields come in. Look what happened to Geno after he spent a couple of years bouncing around the league. He's not turned into an all-pro, but a serviceable. So you put somebody in there like Fields with Breece Hall in the backfield. We've got a pretty decent offensive line now.
For sure.
I think the first time in how many years that that 4 of the 5 at least starting offensive linemen from last year will be back this year. That's unheard of in New York Jets land.
100%.
And so we've got some good things. We need another receiver. There are some holes that we need to fill, but if we give up so much in the draft to move up and get Cam or Shadur.
Yeah, right.
Where are these holes getting filled at then?
That's a good point. Why
can't we, run it with a year and maybe Tyrod Taylor is not going to stay healthy. We say that, but Aaron Rodgers hasn't staying healthy either. So, And I just think that somebody like a Fields can fill in. And hey, if somehow he resurrects or makes a career, because he hasn't had
phenomenal. You got your franchise quarterback, so that's great. Hey, real quick, Indy, who are you facing in the opening round of Madness?
I have an easy matchup. It's not even. I don't even know if I'm going to log in that day. I think I'll just get the win. It's Neil.
Wow. Okay.
And he's the 17-0 guy every year. Yeah. He's pro Rodgers. I think this. Neil should be. It should be an easy win. Okay.
Beautiful. I love it, Indy Jets. There we go. We'll be rooting for you in Asmaniac Madness. A few things real quick. Chef Kevin Gilbert, he's calling out R&R. I love the YouTube super chat coming in here.
Wow.
R&R, stop being a chef, Stan, and call in, baby. Oh boy, the daggers thrown there from Chef Kevin Gilbert. There's not a lot of people are liking Chef Kevin Gilbert's call there about they said he was complaining too much. So okay, hey, different strokes, different folks. Appreciate that. We put that down on your total. And before we sign off, because we're running out of time, I'm going to get everyone that's remaining on the line. Everyone back up on the show so they can make their cases real quick for as Maniac Madness. We've got June the GM as Maniac Madness. We got Ricky New York as Maniac Madness and coughing up a lung. And we got Johnny Boy as Maniac Madness. Everybody in here. So, boys, you guys can all help us wrap up the show here. Let's go around the room. Let's go round robin for all your as Maniac Madness. We'll start off with you, number 9 seed Johnny Boy. Who do you got in the opening round? Who do you got?
I'm taking on against Jason in Jerusalem.
Oh, wow, that's a tough matchup. Jason in Jerusalem is a nice guy. June, who do you have in the opening round? Do you know?
JJ, but I really wanted to address something Ricky said yesterday, so I won't even talk about
Ricky New York. Ricky
New York, yes.
Oh, wow, you're both on the show. Okay, we'll circle back to that in a second, June. Ricky, do you know who you're facing off in the opening round?
I am facing Dark Knight Steve, who's a great guy.
Yeah. So you're just gonna have to slit his throat, Ricky. I'm sorry, it's gonna have to get intense. That's what happens in the As Maniac Madness. But June, I want to make sure because we have limited time. So please, you have something to address, and Ricky happens to be on the show at the same time. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that sometimes people mistaken my energy and my passion and me joking around for my intellect when it comes to football. I seen that Ricky put a comment in the comments. He said that I look like the type of dude who only watches highlights, and I found that disrespectful. And I'm going to tell you why. I studied Miser technique. I won an award for acting and screenwriting. And at times when I watch movies, I look for movies and I see the flaws in the movies right away. And that kind of took away my passion for film. So I don't do that with sports. When I look at football players, I judge them by their potential, by the talents, by the gifts that they have. And when I look at flaws, I say to myself, can that flaw be corrected? When you say to someone like me that I look like I only watch highlights, it's crazy. I've been watching football for over 45 years. I was one of the top running backs in New York State in the Bronx, okay, and free safety, and I know my shit. Now, don't get me wrong. I respect what you do. You sit there and you want to dissect defensive ends coming off the edge and how their hand might be pointed to the left and there's a tail. No, listen, I can do all that. I don't have the time to do that type of shit. But don't sit there in the comments and say that, he just watches highlights. No, I don't just watch highlights. I know the game. I've been studying the game, and I love the game of football. That's all I want to say.
And I respect that. Okay. I just have a very different opinion than you on Cam Ward. Okay.
I can respect that. And I respect
you're looking at flaws and saying maybe we can fix them, but maybe not. Okay. What happens if he comes and those flaws aren't fixed? Just like, watching the stock report the other day, Connor Rodgers was saying, like, maybe Cam can do this. Maybe he can do that. He said, but then at the end, he said, but it is much more likely that he reverts to his old self, holds the ball too long, and things do not go well. Okay. And he's supposedly
I
like
can respect that. We can agree to disagree. I can agree to that.
Yeah,
Connor Long is banned for a week, Paul.
I think you were talking about Connor Rodgers.
Oh, no, but I'm banning Connor Long because Connor Long got online yesterday and said Shadur Sanders is a second-round talent.
Oh.
See, I'm trying to be calm. I'm sorry. I'm acting hyper. I'm sorry. Connor Long's banned for a week, and I love my boy Connor, but he's banned.
Goodbye, Connor.
Hi, Mr. Ricky. Connor. I'm sorry, Mr. Ricky.
I just want to throw out a couple of other things real quick. And
please.
I'll let these guys run with it. To kind of somewhat address what Chef Kevin was saying, I got totally different things from that presser. Okay. And as far as what he was saying, I mean, yeah, Glenn wants to keep it in house, but as far as like them letting the players know what their moves are ahead of time, look, management, like at my work, the big bosses don't go out onto the warehouse floor and make sure it's okay with the labor guys, what they're going to do. That's what's called an executive decision. They're going to make the decisions, and the guys are either going to get on board with it or there's the door. And I think he said that kind of pretty much from the beginning. The other thing is the way that Muji said, like the way he answered the question, he is like, oh, we could move up, we could stay put. And then he kind of at the end, like a little bit softer said, or we could move back. That tells me that any talk of move up was probably just due diligence. They're probably going to pick where they are, but for the right price, they will move back. Like say it's a second or an early third and a fifth or something, like they'll move back.
Interesting.
And what I took as far as, from him saying, we want winners. Tyleik Williams won a national. Guys from Michigan that have been winning their whole career, that were in the college football playoffs. Those guys are winners, just like Garrett Wilson was, just like Jermaine was. So that's kind of what I took from that. And I know that Chef Kevin, we all want wins, okay? But the thing is the way that shit has been done around here, it hasn't worked. So don't immediately push back when you see somebody doing something different. And my final word is going to be on Aaron Rodgers. Okay. You know what? Once upon a time, Aaron Rodgers was great, but he wasn't great for us. And the thing is I get so tired of people going, oh, watch, he's going to go someplace else next year and light it up. You know what? He probably will for 4 or 5 games, and then his old ass is going to be hurt again, and we're going to watch somebody else go through what we're going to be glad that we're not going through. And the bottom line is Aaron Glenn did not trust Aaron Rodgers. He did not trust him not to go on TV and out a teammate. He did not trust him to truly run the offense and not change the plays. And he did not trust him to, ignore Garrett while forcing the ball to his buddy. At the end of the day, they did not trust him. And you know what? You can't build a culture when you got an aging rock star in the building and everything is all about him. Like whether it's intentional or not, because a lot of the shit that happens with Rodgers isn't his making. It just is, it just follows him.
I don't disagree with that. That's a really good take, Ricky.
But yeah, whether it's intentional or not, the circus is still in town. So, sure. and at the end of the day, they just didn't trust him to be anything other than what he is.
Fair enough. And yeah, fair enough. Johnny, finish us off here.
Yeah. So
number 9 seed, Johnny boy.
So first off, good morning, June. What up, Ricky? Morning, Boy Green. Appreciate you guys. I really wanted to talk in regards to yesterday, in regards to what Glenn and what Muji was speaking on in regards to, I felt like they really didn't say anything, right? Until they got to the EA and Ethan actual interview.
Oh, yes, they got
a lot more of an insight of what they're trying to do. I know I've been talking about a lot, like what kind of offense are we going to run, what are going to be the schemes, et cetera, et cetera. And Glenn gave you a preview, and he opened up when he was next to EA, right? Talking about Tanner, he was really the individual that, did a lot of the planning, a lot of the different schemes for Ben Johnson over there in Detroit, where I was like, okay, I believe June, you talked about that a while back in regards to that. So now that came to light, which I thought that was huge. Talked about Banjo, and speaking in regards to Banjo and what the special team stuff and what he's going to be implementing in the actual team itself, I thought it was huge. The relationship that he has with Steve Wilkes and what he was talking about with Wilkes and giving us a little bit of a thing. So that's something that I think, needs to be expanded on a lot more, right? And the other thing itself, I appreciate everybody that's on here. And again, if you love Boy Green in the AM, the coffee club, make sure you vote Johnny Boy 2025.
There we go, baby. I love it. Well, thanks, everybody. Thank you, June, Ricky, and Johnny Boy. Thanks, everybody. Shout out to the Maniac Madness. Good luck to all you guys. We got 600 people in the room live right now. Like the video, hit subscribe, show your support. And we should have Brian Costello of the New York Post, who's live there at the NFL Combine. We should have him on Boy Green Daily tomorrow morning. So, guys, keep an eye out for that. And we'll give you guys all the latest insights from Indianapolis from Kaz, who should be joining us there as well. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you guys tomorrow morning for Boy Green Daily. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy. Peace.